Okay, so yesterday there was a contest on CodeChef called Code Overflow 1.2. Let's discuss some problems. So, Binod and Sabare. This problem was based on a sliding window technique. I have already made two videos, I think, on sliding window. I was planning to make a third one, but then this question itself appeared. The concept I wanted to explain is in this question itself. So let us read the question. We have an array of positive integers. We have to find the smallest length of subarray such that length of subarray is strictly greater than k and sum of its elements is also greater than s. So there are two conditions. Length of the subarray should be greater than k and sum of all the elements in the subarray should be greater than s. So input is nks and then followed by n integers. So let us not worry about the subtask and all. Let us try to get the entire answer. Let us try to get 100 points. For subtask 1, you can do brute force also, but let us learn sliding window, how to use it in this problem. So I'll show you the code and I'll explain it with the code, okay? So basically, actually let us take an example and understand. Let us take this example. Very easy example. Let us say the array is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And k value is given as 1. So k is equal to 1 and s is equal to 5. Okay, so how to approach this problem? So we have to choose a subarray whose length is greater than 1. Let us consider this subarray. It has length 2, but its sum is not greater than 5. So this cannot be the subarray. What about this subarray? Length is 3, okay. Sum is 6, which is greater than 5, yes. So the subarray 1, 3 can be an answer. Okay. So if 1, 3 can be an answer, then 1, 4, 1, 5, everything can be an answer. Because if 1, 3 itself is satisfying, we need a subarray whose length is greater than k and greater than s and sum of elements greater than s. If this itself is satisfying and we know that all integers are positive, then of course all this will also satisfy. But our task is to find the minimum subarray, sorry, the smallest subarray. So by observing, you can see the smallest subarray can be this, that is 3, 4. It can be 3, 4 or it can be 4, 5. Either of these two. The length is 2 and it satisfies both the conditions. So how to get this subarray now? What is the concept? What is the sliding window concept? This part is taking the input, okay? This is all taking the input. Let us initialize a variable L, which is representing left side of the window. This variable L represents left side of the window and mi for calculating minimum length. Mi is initialized to int max. We need it for calculating minimum length. Mi is basically the answer. Okay. So I'll remove this and I'll explain the sliding window technique. So the array is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what we'll do is we'll take some variable to store the sum of all the elements. So let us traverse through the array. First, it will be sum. Sum will be now what? My sum variable. My sum variable will be 1. We are at this point. Okay, we are at this point. Now I am checking for this condition. Is sum greater than s? No, sum is not greater than s. So there is no point in checking this condition. First, sum should be greater than s. When will sum be greater than s in this case? Sum will be greater than s when I value reaches here. So let us start from there. Sum is 6. 1 plus 2 plus 3, sum is 6. Okay. Sum is greater than 5, yes. And I minus L plus 1. This is denoting the length of the subarray. I minus L plus 1 is denoting length of the subarray. If it is greater than K, is it greater than K? Yes, length of the subarray is what? My I is over here. I is 2, L is 0. L is initialized to 0. L has not changed. Okay, 2 minus 0 plus 1. So length of the subarray is 3. Of course, it is greater than K. Okay, so enter this while loop. When you enter the while loop, now minimum will change. This mi variable will change to 3. What am I doing now? I am removing elements from the left window. I will keep removing elements from the left window until these conditions are not satisfied. I will keep removing those elements. This only is the sliding window technique. Every time you check the window condition, if it is being satisfied, continuously keep removing from the left side. What is the left side now? Now this is the window, okay. This is the window. Now I am removing 1 from this window. Now my window has become this 2, 3. Does this window satisfy all the conditions? Length of the window is greater than K. Yes, K is 1, length is 2. Sum of all elements is 5. Is it greater than S? Our S value is what? 5. No, it is not greater. So this is invalid window. So until now, our minimum length is equal to 3. And our L value has changed to 1. So similarly, we'll continue. I will go on to this element. All the elements satisfy the subarray satisfies the condition. And again, with the help of sliding window, I will reduce my window size to 3 and 4. So my mi will become 2. And if I reduce furthermore, that is only 4, no, I will not get the answer. So like this, we keep traversing. Once the window is satisfied, we keep removing elements from the left side. From the left side, we keep removing elements. So this is the code for that, and continuously keep recording the minimum value. And suppose the minimum has not changed, that means there was no subarray which satisfied both the conditions. That is why we will print -1. So this was a sliding window technique. It is good that it appeared in a problem and I explained it through problem only. Otherwise, I was planning to make a separate video. So this is, in general, if you want to say, the question can be like, find the length of the smallest subarray whose sum is greater than K and whose length is greater than some value. So this is a combination of two questions actually, but it's very simple. So this is how you use the sliding window. I hope you understood the code. Let us see the next one. We are given, this problem is related to queries. We are given an array of size n, and we have q queries. The array elements are type xi, hi, and query is of type this. After each query, we have to remove elements with height hi and also satisfying this condition. And we need to print the number of removed elements. So for example, if this is the condition, is there any height with 3? No. So answer is 0. Is there any height with 4? Yes, 3 of them are there. But then we need the range. That is 2 and 3 lie in this range. So we'll remove these 2 elements. So we'll remove 2 elements. For the next query, these 2 elements are removed. So only this is remaining. As we can understand from this example, they have explained it also. So the question, I hope you understood the question. You can have another look at it. So how to solve this question? Basically, this question will really test your STL skills. We need to make a map which maps an integer to a vector. Or you can also make a map which maps an integer to another map. So my code was like this. For every height, I will make a map of vectors. So for particular height, I will keep storing the corresponding x of I in that vector. And this is how you take the input q, and this is the query. So basically I'm going to use lower bound, upper bound only. So whenever you have to find anything in range, always think of lower bound and upper bound. So if you want to find out how many elements are between L and R, then the answer will be upper bound of R minus lower bound of L. Sorry, if you want to find how many elements are in the range L and R inclusive, the answer will be upper bound of R minus lower bound of L minus 1. Sorry, lower bound of L itself. I'm really sorry. It is upper bound of R minus lower bound of L. So this will be the answer for such queries. And we just have to check whether lower bound of L is not equal to end, and this also. So these two are simple, you will understand that. But the tough part was to understand which STL to use. And moreover, I think the test cases were weak also, because I am continuously sorting all the elements. But I can argue that the vector size won't be that long. It won't be that high, big. So sorting also will be fine. So in this particular problem, I would say this worked. You can have a look at the code. It's a very straightforward, you don't need any explanation to understand the question. But how to implement is that's the tough part. So this is how you implement this. Map of vector. Map an integer to a vector. So that's all for this video. Please share my videos and subscribe if you're understanding, if you're liking it. Please share it with your friends. And that's all for this video. Bye.